I was telling somebody a joke today, and it's a couple of jokes that I've known for quite a while. And they said, "Well, why don't you put that up on your website?" And I said, "Well, normally on my website, I put on a lot of instructional or teaching type of things. You know, how to read name analysis or cards or numbers or whatever." But they said, "Well, why don't you put these jokes? They're awful funny." So I said, "Okay, I'll do two of them." And these are ones that I've known for years and years. And one of them, I used to tell people this when I was 10, 11 years old, maybe younger. But the one is about the ant, A-N-T, like the insect, the ant. And what happened was this guy was looking out his apartment window and he was crying what a terrible failure that he was. And he saw this ant crawling across the windowsill. And he got this brainstorm. He said, "I'm going to do something special. I'm going to teach this ant how to do magical things, amazing things. And I'm going to become rich and famous. And finally, I'm going to get the richness and the fame that I deserve." So he took the ant and he spent hours and hours teaching it to do somersaults in the air, to jump through fiery hoops, to stand on its hind legs, to obey all kinds of commands. And night after night, month after month, he was teaching this ant how to do these special things. And then one day he said to himself, "I have it now." He says, I finally arrived. This is going to be my time. So he went to a local bar. It was kind of a restaurant bar. It was a local place that was kind of uppercut a little bit. And he sat down at the table and he motioned to the bartender. He said to the bartender, "Hey, hey, come here, come here." And the bartender said, "What?" And he pointed to the ant on the table. And you know what the bartender did? He said, "Oh, damn things are all over the place," and he crushed the ant. That's kind of, it has a very unusual and in a way a horrible ending. My second joke of this twofer is this gentleman goes to his psychologist, and he tells all his problems to him, and this goes on for quite a while. And I remember my own personal experience. I was once sitting in a court, and the lawyer asked the psychologist, the psychiatrist type, he said, "What you do is theoretical, isn't it?" And he said, "No." He said, "I interact with the patient." And he says, "Well, what do you mean by interact?" He says, "I discuss his problems. He tells me the way he feels. And from this, I make an evaluation." So in this case, he was with this client for months, and he would go over the client's past history, his hopes, his dreams, his failures, his lost loves, people that went in and out of his life, jobs and activities that came and went. And he wrote down very careful notes about this, what the client had to say. And he was interacting with this client for a long time. And finally, he said to the client, when he came up with a conclusion, he says, "I have good news and bad news for you." And he says, "What would you like first?" And the client said, "Well, I would like to have the good news." He says, "Well, the good news is that you're not paranoid." And he says, "Well, what's the bad news?" He says, "Everybody does hate you." But that's my two jokes, the twofers, and one about the ant and one about the psychiatrist. So it's unusual for me. I put it on a video just for a little humor, because I mostly did a lot of teaching on metaphysics and numbers and palms and cards, and I did some on general ideas about the internet, and about the medical field and changing times. And I figured, well, okay, I'll do the comedy thing. I have a couple of jokes that are decent. Well, take care now.